Seems like God doesn't mind a little delay between when a promise is made and when the results are tangible. And living in that tension, that in-between, is really uncomfortable. The law that the Israelites are about to receive will set them apart as God's covenant people, through whom God's promises will be enacted for all the world. The Ten Commandments are only a few short chapters away, promising to shape that identity. But we haven't established that covenant yet. So far, we've made it out of Egypt. But on this third Sunday in Lent, we're still in the wilderness. For the Israelites, the promised land is barely creeping onto the horizon, a wispy image, not yet strong enough to replace the memory of being slaves in Egypt. And 18 days after Ash Wednesday commissioned us on our Lenten journey, we have come to a place called Rephidim, an in-between place. Rephidim is a place in between slavery and promise, in between exile and home, in between ashes and resurrection. We are still waiting for the fulfillment of God's promises. But we're a post-resurrection people. We know how this ends. We've seen our ancestors' promises kept. We know that the Israelites eventually make it to the promised land. We know that eventually the people of Judah will return from an exile in Babylon. We know that eventually the women will find the empty tomb. And we know that the early church grows and spreads. But where are our promises? As memberships and giving continue to decline across mainline Protestant churches, as pews are emptied at the end of each worship service and a little less full next week, as we are confronted with a culture where the church is less dominant than we remember it being, we are held to a wispy image of the promised land. Not yet strong enough to replace the memory of when we were a powerhouse in American culture. It's a promise that the church will speak the language of our faith through both action and testimony. A promise that we will lay claim to our identity as the body of Christ.